So, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Jonnychipz Weekly. My name is John Lunn, aka Jonnychipz, and in this weekly episode, we talk all things cloud, including Azure news and updates, community callouts, Welsh Azure News Group updates, and of course, Jonnychipz on the side. So, it's episode number 46 on Friday, the 12th of November 2021. This one's entitled .NET. Let's jump on in. So, hello again, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. So, usual format again this week. Hope you're all doing well and have had a fantastic week. Happy Friday. It's, of course, lunchtime here in the UK, but happy Friday morning or evening, wherever it is in the world that you are. Thanks so much for tuning in. Usual format, like I say, we're going to touch on community callouts to start off with. We'll break into a little bit of Azure news and updates, and there have been a lot of updates, hence the title of this video is .NET. Of course, we've had .NET Conf this week, lots of exciting news and updates in the dev space. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just jump straight on over to our community callout section. Okie dokies. So, first thing to call out, like I just mentioned there at the top of the show, it was .NET Conf this week. Didn't get to watch as much of it as I'd like. There's certainly a lot of cool things that I need to go back into. And of course, as I'm not necessarily a developer in my 9-to-5 job, I'm more on the operations side of the fence in IT. You know, there's a lot of stuff in there that is really catching my eye and really, you know, getting me interested in wanting to learn more in the developer space. So, if you missed that, browse on over to .NETconf.net. You know, you can see some of the announcements on there and things that are going on, and then you can obviously watch any of those sessions on catch up. So that's the first thing to call out there. Yeah, big shout out to John Saville. Now, I think it's probably fair to say, I mean, the well-established people in the community, the fantastic people at Microsoft that do amazingly good content. You know, I kind of reflected, and you know, I don't tend to call those guys and girls out because, you know, it's just, you know, it's almost like they're part of the furniture and everybody knows about them. And I'm sure everybody knows about John Saville and his fantastic series of videos that he's been doing over the many years. Brilliant, awesome content. I've used it on so many occasions to get up to speed with certain feature sets, certain areas in Azure, especially for me. Well, John has just launched his curated version of his website, so learn.onboardtoazure.com. And you can browse on over, and he's kind of put some tracks together where you can kind of browse through. You can see that you've got fundamentals videos, you've got administration videos. Scroll on through, you can see you've got some networking videos. Really cool to see these curated all these videos. And I know you can kind of do that within YouTube playlists, but I think this just lends itself brilliantly well. And I thought it was a great idea. So, at the end of the day, if you've got you know, a need to learn anything about Azure, head on over to learn.onboardtoazure.com, you know, and you can kind of see all this fantastic content that John has put together over the years. So yeah, huge shout out to John Saville for that, and thanks for everything that you do. It's brilliant. You know, you're supporting the community massively with the content you're putting out there. So yeah, big shout out to John. Thanks, John. Moving on, yes, Shabazz Dar and Shannon Keane are stepping forward into their series of AVS on Azure. So Azure VMware Solution Zero to Hero series. You can see Shannon put this blog post out earlier in the week. I think they're up to episode 4 now. I've watched a couple of them. I need to catch up on the latest episode. Great series. I mean, especially if you are coming from that VMware house and you're looking to take that capability into Azure, then clearly this is the series of videos for you to kind of, you know, help you bootstrap on that and get up and running as quickly as possible and understand the you know, the complexities of what it takes to get that set up in Azure. So huge shout out to Shabazz and Shannon for putting this video series together. Go and check that out. I believe they're on Shabazz's YouTube channel. So if you just browse over to either follow Shannon or Shabazz on Twitter, or browse over to the IT Ops Talk blog, you'll see that, there we go. Yeah, it is video 4, episode number 4 is out. Shannon's recent blog on the 11th, so yesterday. Go and check that out. Fantastic video series. I managed to catch this talk last night from Bruno at Knots IoT. It was a fantastic talk, to be honest. It was really engaging, fun, and I've certainly learned a lot. But it's about machine learning, effectively sound, or I should say audio, video. Go and check that out. Head on over to Knots IoT. I believe on Pete Gallagher's YouTube channel, this recording will be available fairly soon. In fact, it's probably already there. But if you follow Knots IoT, find the link and go and check that out, or just follow El Bruno on Twitter. Fantastic content, loved it. It was all about sharks and tiny ML. So yeah, thanks Bruno, great talk. Can't wait to see what else you get up to. And moving on, yeah, this caught my eye. Vanessa retweeted this out yesterday, I think, around content for helping you train with Azure Sentinel. So it's one of those areas that I've dabbled in. I've done a little bit of training and understanding with how to bring in obviously metrics and feeds from not just 365 and Azure, but from third-party sources. Yeah, thanks Vanessa for pointing this out. There's a blog article here basically pointing out the training labs that you've got available to kind of learn some of these things. So if you want to take a look at that, then if you just head on over to this blog article, which is on the Sentinel blog, so under security and compliance and identity, Microsoft Sentinel, then Yaniv has detailed out all about that training lab content and what it includes, how it works, and just a little bit of a summary. So yeah, thanks Vanessa for bringing that to our attention. Go and check that out. Yeah, and Shannon again bringing up this fantastic announcement effectively on Grafana. So Microsoft's bringing a managed Grafana service. So if you don't know what Grafana is, to be honest with you, I've only used Grafana on a very small number of opportunities that I've ever worked on, but effectively it's a massively capable reporting, dashboarding platform. It's an open source platform that you can kind of bring in and visualize data from, well, any kind of data source. Now, you might think, so where does this leave things like Power BI? And those kind of questions float around my mind at the moment. Now, if you do know a little bit more about Grafana, please drop some notes in the comments below and let me know, because it's definitely something that's become more and more prevalent, across the visualization piece that I've certainly been involved with over the last sort of six months or so. So it looks like it's an area that I'm going to have to dabble in a little bit more. So yeah, if you've got any experience or knowledge on Grafana, drop me some links in the comments below. But great to see this progression from Microsoft as always. And moving on, yes, Ryan's new book. So Mastering Azure Virtual Desktop is out. And you can pre-order that book now. Great to see so many prolific community members releasing these books at the moment. So this is no different. AZ140, if you're browsing over to Amazon and search for Mastering Azure Virtual Desktop by Ryan Mangan, get your pre-order in now. I think I will be doing that after I do this video. Thanks, Ryan. And my good friend Carl Cook, he's back out there blogging. So I noticed that he did this blog article the other day around controlling public IP for the Azure Database Migration Service. So I think he goes into the fact that he's working with customers at the moment in terms of migrating databases into Azure. And he's spotted this problem that, when you're migrating services from an on-prem environment into cloud, then you've got the issue with firewalls and all sorts of, ACLs, ACLs, things like allow lists and things like that. And I think he's pointing out that the database migration service doesn't have that static public IP address for that outbound communication. So in other words, you can't necessarily guarantee, you can't put that security in place, which is where you might need to. So he's come up with a solution. So he's saying what the solution isn't. And I believe then he's given some detail about exactly how to solve that problem. So brilliant blog article. If you are in that space, and of course every customer is, you're not just going to open up your firewall to the world just to do migration. Some really detailed information there from Carl. Huge thanks for that. Go and check that out. He's on irishtechie.cloud and take a search for that blog article. So yeah, thanks for that, Carl. And in other news, yes, Chris Jeffrey retweeted this out as well about another new announcement from Ignite this year was the partnership with NVIDIA. So, I was fortunate enough to kind of get involved with the NVIDIA Jetson Nano to do some object detection training and learning earlier on in the year. But, I kind of deep down saw this coming, I guess, but it was great to see the official announcement at Ignite. So yeah, the whole NVIDIA partnership with Microsoft and what they're going to be doing with Microsoft Azure and enabling Azure with GPU hardware, accelerated hardware at the edge, used for AI, machine learning, all of those cool things. So really looking forward to seeing that. And one of the other things that I did spot is they've already updated Microsoft Learn with some NVIDIA DeepStream learning modules, which is brilliant. I think, although I've been on the DeepStream course, the official NVIDIA one, I'm going to certainly check these out. Got my Jetson Nano down here, so I'm going to work through these. And yeah, I'm just calling that out. So if you are interested, excuse me, to see what that's all about, head on over to the Learn module. Go and check that out, because I think it's really exciting times, to be honest, at the moment. So moving on. Maria Anastasia. Yes, really excited for this one, actually, on Monday. I've splattered this throughout this video this week. But yeah, if you're interested to see what that tweet was all about, as Maria Anastasia is pointing out, then join us on Monday. So I think I've said this a few times before now, but of course, on Monday, we've got the Tech Days, a flight into IoT, where a bunch of us from across the community are effectively doing an end-to-end solution. So you can browse to aka.ms/techday/IoT and get registered for it. And you can see that we've got a whole, it's a 2.5 hour event, effectively. We've got Pete Gallagher, Cliff Aegis, Sander van der Velde, Maria Anastasia Misaka, Jürgen Cavaliers. Apologies, Jürgen, if I pronounced that incorrectly. Myself and Gorsia Borseka. We are all on. So, basically going through this end-to-end solution. And, this week has been pretty busy with, doing a few final touches to that and catching up with the rest of the team. Really excited to be part of this event. Please do go and sign up and get involved. I believe there's well over 600, 700 people already registered, which is, somewhat nerve-wracking. But just really privileged to kind of be playing a little bit of a part in this kind of event. So really looking forward to it. Okie dokie. So yes, Kevin Evans has hit the ground running with his net-runner.io blog. Kevin, I've had a chat with Kevin now a couple of times on socials and over Teams. Great guy, brilliant guy, really great advocate, working at Microsoft. So he's one of the in the Azure engineering team in terms of customer success. He's got his blog running. Go and give him a follow. So he's on Twitter as offpremkev, and he's got his netrunner-io Twitter handle as well. Go and give him a both follow. Support him on his journey. He's getting into the community a little bit more, which is cool to see. Well done, Kevin, and no doubt we shall be catching up fairly soon. And again, April Edwards every week with the DevOps Lab show that she's been putting together and doing with some great guests this week. Jay Gordon, who's also another advocate in the team. They talk about using GitHubs to kind of enable that collaboration, really go through what that collaboration is all about. So if you're not following April or the DevOps Lab on Twitter, go and follow them. Browse over to the YouTube channel, the DevOps Lab YouTube channel, and go and give that one a watch. So increasing collaboration with communication, GitHub and Microsoft Teams. So great to see, and thanks for that, April. And Jay, of course. Yeah, this caught my eye, not necessarily techie related, but certainly related to not just our industry in tech, but any part of life. And, thanks to May for kind of bringing this out, because, for years now, we've been talking about this idea of growth mindset. And it's great to see, some of the kind of statements that can help you understand whether you've got a growth mindset or a fixed mindset. We know that looking at things, failures and negative situations as an opportunity to grow helps you move forward with things a lot better than it does if you've got a fixed mindset. You kind of become stuck in some kind of a rut that you can't get out of. So go and check that out. So, I called this out in terms of some of the areas and statements that you might find yourself saying or talking out loud kind of point towards which side of the fence you sit. I think it's a known thing that growth mindset is generally seen as a healthier place to be, for a lot of reasons. So just thought I'd call that out there, have a little read of that, and see if any of that applies to you. Thanks for that, May. And moving on again. So David O'Brien, yeah, great to see we've got David next week at the Welsh Show Use Group. More on that in a second. But yeah, it looks like David's been playing with the Chaos engine that was announced at Ignite again for Azure. So the ability to sprinkle a few faults across your Azure subscription to truly see how robust and resilient it is. So that's cool. He's pointing out there that you can go and have a little look at this at the Chaos studio and take a look at that. And really, there's a whole load of things that you can do, to kind of keep you on your toes. But it's a great way of really seeing if your Azure solution is truly up to speed and as robust as you might hope it is. So, yeah, thanks for that, David. Back to Mr. Dahl. So, yes, Shabazz is talking at Azure, AVD Tech Fest on the 18th of November. Absolutely love what Shabazz is up to in the community. He's doing so many fantastic things. Go and give him a follow. Go and give him some support. And, yeah, if you are going to AVD Tech Fest this year, go and check out Shabazz's session. So thanks for that, Shabazz. Yes, again, this caught my eye from Chris Jeffrey, retweeted by Cliff. So Chris, again, another brilliant advocate that works at Microsoft now. He's been doing some great things. He's into his 3D printing as I am, as Cliff is. And, yeah, we've all seen this. We've all seen this scenario where, your print doesn't go quite as well. It's faults and strings and all sorts, and things go wrong. Now, look, if you're not watching it, then, you just don't know until you come back in the room and see that you've got this whole bunch of spaghetti from your 3D printer. So the way I do it is that I've got a camera and I periodically glance at that camera. And the fact that Chris had taken it a stage further using the Azure Percept Dev Kit to recognize when there was a failure. Now, I know with things like OctoPi and OctoPrint, there are mechanisms that you can overlay to your own camera to kind of get this. But the fact that he was using the Percept Dev Kit made me want to go and buy a dev kit even more. And my shop, I was speaking to somebody yesterday, my wish list in Amazon is growing by the day. And I think I need to get a second mortgage to get all the things that I actually want. Great little article there. If you are into your 3D printing and you do have a Percept dev kit, then check it out. Brilliant. I thought that was great to see that. So anyhow, moving on to my last call out. Yeah, and it's a bit of, a shout out to Daniel McLaughlin there. So I called this out a few weeks ago. So he's got this Azure Pirate YouTube channel that works off the back with, I believe, Azure Functions, Logic Apps, that kind of thing. So that when people are signed up in terms of their blogs and things like that, it'll retweet and really, help you get a little bit of reach across the social media platforms. And he's now just enabled it for YouTube channels as well, which was great. It's really great to see where he's going with this, kind of integration. So if you are creating content or you are doing things with a blog or YouTube, go and reach out to Daniel and see if he can get you signed up to the Azure Pirate YouTube. And like I say, it'll just retweet out whenever you've got a new blog, whenever you've got a new video uploaded, things like that. So big shout out to Daniel. So there we go. Let's head back on over. Yes, so there we go. Thanks, everybody, as always, for all the fantastic community contributions and the bits that are coming out of community for this week. It's been absolutely brilliant. So, yes, there's loads to talk about, as always. Like, when I do these videos every week, it's almost like, right, okay, what am I going to talk about? Because, there's so much. There are things that obviously I kind of skip over to a certain extent, which, I don't want to, but, just for the sake of time. But anyway, let's move on. I think we shall. What shall we do now? Let's do a bit of Jonnychipz on the side. Let's head on over. Okie dokie. So this week, yeah, it's been quite, like I said, it's been quite a busy week. But one of the things, again, harping back to this video that I did In Conversation with Mike Pfeiffer, it was such a well-received video, and it still is. I've got some more stuff coming up with Mike over the next few weeks as well. So if you did miss that episode, head on over to the YouTube, check out the playlist below, go and give it a watch. But drop us your feedback, because Mike is such an inspirational and knowledgeable guy. Some of the insights that he kind of portrays over in that video, I believe, are really, really great, interesting things to try and bring into the way that you work. So, like I say, I'm still getting messages from people about it. I'm still getting retweets and things like that. go and check this out. This is a screenshot from a part where we talk about what it is to be a master or a dabbler in a particular technology. And it's a really interesting concept and conversation and a different take on things, I guess. So, yeah, huge thanks to Mike for being a part of this video with me. It was really fun to chat with Mike and put this together. But yeah, please do go and check that out. In other news, obviously it is a Friday and it's time for another episode of In Conversation With today. Huge shout out to Derek Smith, my guest last week on last week's show, where we talked all around enterprise scale, landing zones, general operations, things like that. Massive thanks to Derek. He's a great guy in the community and he's doing some awesome things. Go and follow him. He's on Consider Cloud DS on Twitter. Go and give him a like and a follow and some support because he's doing some brilliant things across the community at the moment. So, and of course, if you missed this episode, please do go and rewatch it. Okay, but for tonight, I got the privilege. I've seen Peter rising across the community for quite a long time now. He's on the M365. He's generally in that kind of security and compliance space, but he's such a fantastic guy, such a knowledgeable guy. Real privilege to get the chance to speak to Peter and do an episode really on that whole kind of really his own journey into tech, but then also looking at the area of focus that he's found himself in at the moment, which is in that kind of that security, identity, and compliance arena. Really fun, interesting, insightful chat tonight, 6:30 GMT. If you can join us, it would be super fun to have you there. I'll be in the chat, so come and say hello, and yeah, hopefully that'll be quite insightful for anybody that's in that space as well. So huge thanks to Peter. Looking forward to that one going out tonight. In other news, I had a little bit of fun with my camera yesterday. So, yeah, I thought I'd set up a new cool little exit screen so that when I needed to go, I could just disappear, but still be here. So, yeah, reach out. It's basically just a fixed background and I'm fading the camera feed in and out if you want to know how to do it. It's quite a simple little thing. But I think Mark Allen tweeted this morning asking me to put the Doctor Who music, so I think I might need to do that. Anyhow, other news from the week: fireworks night. Had some fun with the kids there, setting those off earlier on in the week, and yeah, of course, I've been doing quite a bit of prep work for Monday's event. So please do go and get signed up for that. It'd be great to see if we can get as many people there as possible. aka.ms/techdays/IoT. As it says there, and join us from 10 o'clock GMT on Monday. And there we go. There's Jonnychipz on the side for the week. Okie dokie. I think what we'll do now is browse quickly on the updates of the Welsh Azure new. I always say user group. Welsh Azure News. So it's a Welsh Azure user group news. Let's go and have a little look. So yes, just a quick update for this week. Obviously, we've got the next event, the November event, going out on the 17th of November with the brilliant Mark Allen and David O'Brien, who I've mentioned earlier on in the community call-outs as well. So go and check those guys out there. Twitter handles are on the screen there, but we're going to be looking at real-world Azure static web apps and building that cloud security SaaS startup using Azure. So really looking forward to these two talks on the 17th of November. Just a bit of a heads up, we were going to do an in-person event in December. We've had to change that to a virtual event purely because of everybody's workload, I think, more than anything at the moment. And the fact that it's just before Christmas and we ummed and ahed and thought, well, are we going to drag people out, especially into Cardiff around Christmas, traffic, shopping, all of that kind of stuff going on. So we thought we'd settle that back for a few months and look into the new year for our next in-person event or hybrid event. But for now, please do go and get RSVP'd up for the event next week, and we will see you there. Okie dokie. And finally then, I think we shall just browse straight on over and crack on with the Azure news and updates. Now, obviously, because we've had .NET Conf this week, it's been a phenomenal amount of news and updates. So I'll do my best to get through them as quickly as possible. But let's take a look. Let's browse on over Azure news and updates. And good evening and welcome to this week's Azure News and Updates. My name is John Lunn and we shall start off this week in other news. So yes, we've had .NET Conf. There are a lot of announcements this week. I'm going to rattle through them as quickly as possible. Try not to dwell on them because there are literally so many. So let's just start off. Generally available, ExpressRoute now supports Azure Virtual Desktop Short Path IRDP over private peering. We've now got the ability to build and deploy full stack .NET 6 apps with Azure Static Web Apps. .NET 6 is also generally available in Azure Functions. And we've got the Azure Functions Runtime 4.0, which has been announced, which is enabling that capability. PowerShell on Linux SKU in Azure Functions is now in public preview, if you are interested in that, and that's just mind-blowing if you think of it. Generally available Azure Data Explorer Cache Hot Policy Hot Windows. Public preview announcement, Azure Sphere expands SOC portfolio with NXP IMX93CS family. Very specific family there, but it's now in public preview with Azure Sphere. Another public preview announcement, Azure Bastion native client support. So that's cool. And the Azure Bastion IP-based connection is now into public preview as well. So it's available with the standard SKU. You can now connect to any target resource reachable from your Bastion using its private IP address. So it doesn't matter where it is, basically. So before it used to have to be in the same VNet. Now it can be anywhere, which is cool. Public preview. So now available, Azure Web Pub Sub Service has now gone GA. And Azure App Service support for .NET 6, of course, is now generally available. Getting a theme here, yeah, with the .NET Conf this week. .NET 6 is kind of everywhere. Application Insights, auto instrumentation for .NET 6 app services, as you'd expect. And Azure Database for Postgres, Hyperscale, Postgres 14 support in GA. Okie dokie. Azure Database for MySQL, Flexible Server, Terraform support is generally available. That's cool. Azure Backup for Azure Database for Postgres, Single Server, Long-Term Retention generally available. Cosmos DB. Glowroot support for Cassandra API in generally available is now generally available. I love all these terms. I really do. Cosmos DB names indexes named. Is that names or named? I don't know. Names indexes for Cassandra API now in generally available. Now in generally availability. Can't speak. I don't know if that threw me. Should that be named? I think it should. Named indexes. Anywho. Azure SQL, generally available updates for mid-November 2021. So distributed transactions for .NET and Transact SQL across multiple Azure SQL managed instances for frictionless migration of modern application development is now available. A few public preview updates for Azure Security Center. So Microsoft Threat and Vulnerability Management added as a vulnerability assessment solution. The vulnerability assessment solutions can now be auto-enabled. Software inventory filters added to asset inventory and new alerts for Defender for Kubernetes. And some available updates. So GGA updates for ASC is change the prefix of some alert types from ARM to VM and changes the logic of security recommendation for Kubernetes clusters. And recommendations details page now shows related recommendations. Cool. Moving on, more about Postgres. Support for 10.2 has gone GA. And public preview updates for Azure SQL are configure Azure SQL hyperscale databases for SQL maintenance window and advanced notifications for planned maintenance. Again, SQL Server on Azure VMs. Multi-subnet high availability generally available. Okay, cool. And we've got Azure Archive Rehydration Priority Update. Might need to read into that one a little bit more. So that's GA. And finally, hardware accelerated pools are now in public preview for Apache Spark on Azure Synapse Analytics. So look, I've not really dug into any of those this week in any great detail, mainly to save a little bit of time. There's been some fantastic updates across the week, lots of updates. There's probably about 20 or so there. as you can imagine, a lot of them .NET related in terms of that release of .NET 6 this week from .NET Conf. So if you are in that dev space, then there's lots of good things going on at the moment across Azure. Seems to be quite a lot of SQL and certainly SQL or database related updates as well across Azure this week. So anyhow, let's browse back over to my face. So yeah, as always, thanks everybody for tuning in to these videos every week. Hope you get some use out of them. I know sometimes they're a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, but even if it's a case that kind of something that piques your interest, I find it so handy running through the updates every week myself, just to kind of stay on top of things and kind of hopefully some of that information sticks there somewhere so that when I'm dealing with a particular customer problem, I can go, oh yes, that's just gone into private preview or public preview, whatever it may be. So yeah, that's the way that I work it. But yeah, I do hope you've enjoyed this week's video. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll call it there. Please do join us tonight on In Conversation With if you get the chance. Until then, I'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you soon.